The Apple Cup meant everything to Washington State. Winning this game, the impact cannot be overstated for two reasons. Number one, Washington State, for a second straight week, has proven to the entire college football world that they are worthy of being in a Power 4 conference. Number two, it comes at a time in which the Pac-12 is adding 4 Mountain West schools going into the 2026 season and is actively lobbying to get 2 more, at least. According to Bruce Feldman, they've reached out to Tulane and Memphis, the best American schools available. So if you were to get more American schools, which is what I would do if I were the Pac-12, is at the very least make them say no, and then you can go back to the well on Mountain West or see if there are any Sun Belt teams that appeal to you. But if you can pull teams out of the American and build the premier Group of 5 conference in college football, that's the best outcome that you can hope for in rebuilding the Pac-12. To set yourself up to go to the Big 12 in the early 2030s or the ACC or get into the massive AFC-NFC style merger that could come one day in college football. These sorts of games matter. And you saw it on the face of Jake Dickert in his post-game interview. When he broke down in tears, you could see that game, because of everything that happened off the field, meant everything to Washington State. And winning that football game is one heck of a statement. A week after they run Texas Tech out of the building last week, they come in against Washington and they win a game. Here's what's most impressive for the Cougs. They've won it with the third different style of victory. Week 1, Portland State. John Mateer is throwing 70-yard touchdowns every other completion. I believe it was like 12 completions or some obscene number and 5 touchdowns. They were just chucking it deep. Week 2, Texas Tech. They ran everywhere. John Mateer had almost 200 yards on the ground. Week 3, the defense shows up. Washington State, my preseason record prediction for them was 9-3, and I thought they'd be 1-2 by now. They're 3-0. And allow me to have a word with the Associated Press. Anyone out there who votes in the AP Top 25, what exactly did Washington State need to show you to garner a top 25 ranking? Why is Texas A&M's resume more impressive than Washington State's? The answer is it's not. They have a loss at home to an overrated Notre Dame team that has a loss to a Northern Illinois team only ranked so that they can justify ranking Notre Dame at number 18 or wherever they are ranked inside the top 20. Probably a little bit too high, though Notre Dame had a bounce-back performance. Give the Irish credit. They have to win the rest of their games to guarantee a playoff spot, but I digress. Washington State, a win against a Texas Tech team that had a preseason win total of 8.5, and a Washington team that's going to be in the middle of the Big Ten and is, in the Big Ten. And you go win that football game in what is essentially a road environment. It's a neutral field, but it's in Seattle. That's more of a home game for Washington than it is for Washington State. What in the world do they have to do? I don't know, is the answer. And them not being ranked, that ticks me off a little bit. They play San Jose State this Friday at home in Pullman. It's on the CW. It's at 7 p.m. Pacific time, at 10 p.m. Eastern because, well, Pac-12 After Dark never truly dies. Then the following week, they play Boise State. I'm just going to throw this out there. That game has playoff implications for the Broncos, presuming Washington State wins this week and avoids the emotional letdown, which you got to be on guard for, even against a first-year head coach down there in San Jose, but the game is at home. When you go to Boise State, that's going to have playoff implications for the Broncos, who need to have as few losses as possible to build a Group of 5 playoff resume. Could that have playoff implications for Washington State? If the Cougars go, this is just an if. There's still a lot of season to be played. And Washington State fans should know from last year that there's a lot of season to be played. If Washington State goes 12-0, they're going to be pretty hard to ignore. When you've got 2 Power 4 wins, you'd have a road win against Boise and Fresno and Oregon State. That'd be pretty hard to ignore. Is all I'm going to say. Now, is that the only way they get in? Probably. I don't even think 11-1 will get you in with those victories. Now, if the AP is viewing you as outside the top 25 after these 3 wins, done in different fashions, all wildly impressive. And I don't know. I don't know what you have to do. But as I said, you cannot overstate the importance of this game for Washington State fans. It meant everything to Jake Dickert. It meant everything to those players to stick it to your rival that left you behind for the Big Ten right as you announce you're rebuilding the Pac-12. How much more attractive does the Pac-12 look if Oregon State and Washington State keep winning these sorts of games? I know Oregon State got beat badly over the weekend because Oregon finally found their footing. But if both of these teams continue to succeed, that's making your league more attractive. So the on-field results are great for fans. The off-field results, great for the conference. I think it is a double impact every time Oregon State and Washington State take the field, and this is a big step forward. Now, the question that I teased coming into this segment, I didn't forget about it, don't worry, because this is a legitimate question for Coug fans at this point. I allowed Roman Tomashoff of Locked On Huskies to talk me out of picking Washington State, which I wanted to do going into the game, and he made some real compelling points. Now, this was a coin flip game. Picking one side or the other, you have enough of these coin flip games, you're going to be right in some, you're going to be wrong in others. I was wrong in this one. I was wrong picking TCU over UCF. You play that game 10 times, it's probably split 5-5, and that one happened to go in that direction. I was correct to pick Pitt. I was correct to pick any number of college football games over the weekend, not limited to Colorado over Colorado State, which a lot of people like the Rams. I did not. But anyway, legitimate question for Cougs fans here. Let me know in the comments. Shoot me a note on Twitter at smclaughlincfb. DMs are wide open. Given that I have failed to learn my lesson in picking against Washington State in the non-conference slate each of the last 2 weeks, when they have a big game, I'm talking Boise State, I'm talking Fresno State, Oregon State. Those are the big games on their schedule the rest of the year. Do you ever want me to pick the Cougs again? Do you want, because I've been wrong the last 2 weeks and you guys have reaped the benefits. So you can blast me all you want for not believing. You can blast me all you want for having a couple of incorrect predictions and ignore all the ones I got right, of course, because that's the way the comments work. But do you actually want me to flip to the other side? Because here's the sense that I get as the host of this show. If I suddenly pick Washington State to win and then they lose, who's going to get blamed? Me. I've interacted with enough commenters and people on Twitter and whatnot and fans in person to know that it will be solely my fault. So I'm left with a dilemma here. Do I never do a pick on a Washington State game again? Do I continue looking like a fool picking against the Cougs as they stack up big non-conference wins? Or do I start picking the Cougs and when they inevitably lose one of these big games, get blamed for it by Washington State fans? That's like a lose scenario. But boy, fun times up in Pullman. I would not want to be San Jose State this week. You know why? Because I have a sneaky suspicion, just a spidey sense, call it, that Washington State fans are going to show up in droves this week, because when you beat Washington for the second time in the last 4 years, by the way, which is something that hadn't happened in the previous, I believe, 7 matchups, including the Mike Leach run, including when the Cougs were a playoff contender. That's right. That was the thing that happened. Washington spoiled that too. And Jake Dickert has now won this game twice, and he has been darn close the other 2 times as well. He's a really good football coach. When you win that sort of game, especially given everything that happened off the field, I get the sense the fans are going to have a little bit of juice. Just a thought. Just a thought. Good luck, San Jose State. Good luck, everybody else that plays Washington State. So, Coug fans, let me know what you want me to do. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.